Hey guys, welcome back to Resistance Chicks. We're your hosts, Leah and Michelle. Today is the 1st of December.
So let's go to London Bridge. I want to talk about the I watched Channel 4, and so instead of showing you,
because we always get literally our whole channel gets banned if we play anything from Channel 4. It's so stupid.
So I want to try to see if I can find you a picture here. So I watched it, and I want to try to give you an overview and an image of here we go. This is what I want you to see. Okay, so
I don't know how well they can see that. They can't see that. You want me to pull it up?
I don't know how you're going to find exactly what I'm bringing up. You can try. London Bridge, and here's to show them this. It's got fiction.
Yeah, I had seen a couple of that. A couple things like that.
So my head's behind it anyways. So while Michelle's bringing up the video, I want to show you, or the still image. So the suspect was shot dead by police right outside of Fishmonger's Hall. Now
I've got a ton of these. I can pull up any one of
them.
these.
It's
no,
because that's not it. That's not what I want you to see.
Well, this is the route. I mean, it's not as up close as you would like. There's probably
I want the simple one just to show a couple spots.
That's the 2017 one.
No.
And let's say 2019. Narrow it down here.
Yeah. So
I'll find it.
Right before you get onto London Bridge, there's Fishmonger's Hall. And that was where the suspect, forgive me, I don't know his name. They do know his name now. Was attacked. Was okay. Usman Khan is his name. Khan. I knew his name was Khan. Usman Khan. A convicted jihadist automatically released from prison on license halfway through his term without ever going before the parole board. Those are three major things. Okay? He was convicted of a terrorist charge, and before we had said it was for plotting to blow up the London Bridge. It was actually for plotting a the New York the London Stock Exchange, okay, which is actually right down the street.
There we go.
And he was convicted of trying to plot this terror attack. And under these new rules, violent criminals are given a lengthy sentence, and he was given a 16-year sentence. And automatically, you just do half.
I know, isn't that weird?
And there was no parole board to interview him, to go over. He was actually supposed to be on an indeterminate sentence. Okay? And with that, he was supposed to only be let out if it was deemed that he was no longer a threat. And the one thing Boris Johnson will tell you, and the one thing everybody keeps saying, and let me bring up that video, Boris, is basically under these rules, there was nothing that could be done because, he did everything he was told to do. He, where's my video? I think I might have closed it. I don't know if I closed that out. He did everything he was supposed to do. I think that, I keep bringing that up.
So Nigel, for those of you that missed this, there was a lot of bad people were there. A lot of people from prison. In fact, one of the heroes, it was a murderer. One of the heroes that went, he was out on a day pass. So there were all of these prisoners that were there for
it was a conference. It was a conference on I believe it was rehabilitation or something. But here we have Boris Johnson saying basically
the issue, Andrew, is that he was allowed
How
out
many other
early.
people are in the same
He
position?
was allowed out early. And there was no, and this is very important, it was nothing to do with parole, there was nothing to do with the probation service.
So how many people are in the same position?
Legally, there was no way of stopping him from coming out early on the basis on which he was sentenced. So as for your question about how many others there are probably about 74.
Okay, you're trying to avoid my question by carrying on talking. Let me just ask you again.
This guy is...
You said how many others? Okay. 74.
74 other people. What are you doing about them now?
what we're doing there is we've taken a lot of action,
as you can imagine,
last 48 hours I don't want to go into the operational details, but we're doing
people an indication.
Well, we're doing. I'm sure people can imagine what we're doing to ensure that the 74 other individuals who've been let out early on the basis of this Labour change to the legislation, they are being properly invigilated, so to ensure there is no threat to the public. And we took that.
So when you heard this, you were concerned that this kind of thing could happen again and again and again, given the number of people who are getting out now?
Well, I do think there is an issue, as I've said, about automatic early release. I think it's wrong for serious sexual offenders. I think it's wrong for violent offenders. I think it's wrong for terrorists. And
it doesn't make any sense. Okay, if your sentence is 7 years, make it 7 years. Don't make it 15. That's like going into Kohl's. Now, if you're not from the United States, it's a department store for clothing. Right. Now, they'll take a sweater that is literally worth $20. They hike it up. They put a $65 or $70 price tag on it, and then they run the sales. It is never, ever, 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 ever full price in that store. Right. Not one day in its life of being in that store is it ever full price. Okay, so you know that the shirt or the sweater or whatever is not worth $65.
He had the electronic. This is okay. So you guys didn't know this. There was a knife attack on London Bridge on Friday, and 2 people were killed, and there were some heroes that helped take him down with a whale tusk and I think a fire extinguisher.
Wait a minute. Sorry, I've got volume.
Details are emerging on London Bridge killer Usman Khan, a convicted terrorist who was freed from prison on an electronic tag and apparently he was given permission to go to a prisoner rehabilitation event, and somebody pointed out, it was on Channel 4, that said, why was he given permission to go to, and Michelle was giving you the map, the Fishmonger's Hall, which is just down the street from where he had plotted a bomb explosion for his conviction. You would, if you've got an ankle monitor and you've got, hey, you know what, maybe you don't get to go there, right? He was in prison for his part in a plot to bomb the London Stock Exchange and pubs in Stoke, as well as planning to establish a terrorist training camp in Pakistan in 2012, and originally serving an indeterminate sentence for public protection, meaning he could have been kept behind bars as long as the relevant authorities deemed him too dangerous to release. There is a life sentence for terrorism charges. They don't have to let you go. In the UK, there are laws that I was listening on Channel 4 today. The law is there. It's you can get a life sentence.
You should.
For terrorism charges. However, the Court of Appeal of Judges, led by Lord Leveson, quashed his IPP in 2013 and swapped it for a fixed term of 16 years, with eligibility for release on license at the halfway point, as is standard in the British justice system. The parole board says, we have every sympathy for those affected by the dreadful events that happened in the London Bridge yesterday. Given the seriousness of the attack, it is understandable that there is a speculation about the attacker's release from prison. The parole board can confirm it had no involvement with the release of the individual identified as the attacker, who appears to have been released automatically on license as required by law without ever being referred to the board.
Unbelievable.
Mohammed Shah Jahan and Nazim Hassan, who were convicted as part of the same radical Islamic terror cell as Khan, also had IPP changed to fixed terms, while a fourth man, Mohabar Rahman, had his term reduced by 6 months. Sorry. Okay. The IPPs were abolished by the Tories altogether, and the European Court of Human Rights ruled they were arbitrary. And see, this is where the EU comes in and says, well, they're too arbitrary for terrorists. I mean, you got to give them a chance to when they can get out.
No.
It should be noted that the European Court of Human Rights is technically not a European Union institution like the separate European Court of Justice, but past Lord Chancellors such as Lord Faulkner believe EU member states are effectively required to submit to the EC and the HR's jurisdiction as a condition of EU membership. Metropolitan Police. We are now in a position to confirm the identity of the suspect, the 28-year-old Usman Khan. Metropolitan Police Commissioner Neil Basu confirmed that Khan was known to authorities, having been convicted in 2012, released in prison last December. on license. The circumstances, as we currently understand them, are that he attended an event earlier on Friday afternoon at the Fishmongers Hall called Learning Together.
Learning Together.
And so what's very interesting is when I'm watching like the reporters on this, and I'm watching the officials. Well, he was going through a de-radicalization program. I feel like it's Sesame Street for terrorists. Yeah, it's called Learning Together. And you have a bunch of terrorists in a room, a bunch of convicted criminals in a room, and
Well,
you're
they weren't
like,
all terrorists, but yeah.
you're like learning together. Like seriously, somehow you're babying these people who want to kill people. Like if we're just nice to you and we teach you how to like, this is not like a people with like, you know, anger management issues. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, and that's how they can get off like on like good behavior and stuff.
His attack actually began at the prisoner rehabilitation event before he left the building and proceeded on to London Bridge, where he was detained and subsequently confronted and shot by armed officers. Assistant Commissioner Basu also confirmed that tragically 2 people, a man and a woman, were killed during the attack. 3 others, a man and 2 women, were also injured and remain in hospital. The Metropolitan Police are appealing for anyone with information, images, or footage of the incident. And we will.
So Britt Baza says Usman
here.
Khan was imprisoned for threatening to blow up the London Stock Exchange just down the street from London Bridge and the American Embassy, as well as Bojo's home. Let's see. Tying agreement says the sentences are to make people think the justice system is working and criminals are being punished. Then they let them out early. Mikey B says the terrorism laws need to be replaced. They're an excuse for the state to remove citizens' rights. Lancer says they do the same for Antifa most of the time. They will arrest some of the members, but they let them all go without needing bail. Hilton says he got out too early and he gets a 24-hour protection. Mikey B says the terrorism laws need to be replaced. They're an excuse for the state to remove citizens' rights. I think I read that one already. Sorry, my thing is bouncing around. The police were using the terrorism laws to arrest members of the public for taking photographs in public. Britt Baza says the UK needs to bring back World War I firing squads for terrorist offenses. Let's see. Jim West says the other 6 in his plot group also are currently free.
Okay, so now I'm going to go on to the heroes here. These fellows are amazing. A narwhal tusk and a fire extinguisher. A narwhal tusk grabbed from the Fishmongers Museum. And, like, it's a 5-foot narwhal tusk just beating him. And the fire extinguisher with the guy with the suicide vest, not knowing whether
How come this footage didn't come out on Friday?
It did.
We didn't see this.
Didn't we? Yeah.
No, we did not show this on Friday, guaranteed.
I think we did.
I'm 100% on that. You've probably seen it and you've confused it for showing it to the people.
Okay, so
that footage we did not see.
All right.
Do you want me to play? The story is actually told pretty good by this guy on Good Morning Britain about how it started in the restaurant. If you want me to play it.
Sure. How inspiring was it to see so many passersby felt compelled to have a go? Without the slightest concern for their personal safety, the rugger player passing in the Mini, who got out to kick the terrorist in the head, the off-duty British transport policeman who seized one of the huge knives and retreated gingerly as well you might when surrounded by armed police who might well be looking to shoot anyone carrying a giant blade at a terrorist incident. And of course, the guys with the fire extinguisher and the narwhal tusk. We often worry, well, I certainly do, this is from Dellingpool at Breitbart, that if ever another major war were to break out, the woke, emasculated, and unpatriotic younger generations would be utterly incapable of rising to the challenge, but maybe there's hope yet. And Dellingpool says in this article that ordinary people have had enough, and that politicians don't know that most people are to the right of where they're at. Jeremy Corbyn said, I am against shoot to kill, and everyone over the entire internet was like, he's dead! Woo! Yeah, way to go!
Well, not only that, but what you don't understand when you are going against shoot to kill is that you have an opportunity as a police officer to take care of the situation and possibly protect the lives of yourself and everyone around you, okay? Because if that person suicides themselves, they're going to die anyway. Okay, so you need to stop that threat. So everybody in the UK, you have an opportunity. If you're wearing something that you're making sure the police know looks like a suicide vest, whether it is or not, they're going to shoot you.
And by the way, the narwhal is a type of whale found in the Arctic waters with a large distinctive tusk. The Fishmonger's Hall is one of London's ancient guild halls and happened to have this narwhal's tusk mounted on the wall. And one of the enterprising heroes seized it.
They can sell for like $35,000, by the way.
Could you imagine? Oops. Here's your whale tusk back. I was waiting for somebody to be like, now you're in trouble, mister. How dare you?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Armed police were there in 5 minutes. And
you know who would have been in trouble, though? An armed citizen. Somebody that had like a hunting rifle hidden behind a trench coat or something.
Exactly.
All right. So let's go to one of these heroes in on Good Morning Britain.
Our next guest is a pretty special guy because he was just having a drink in Borough Market last Saturday night, when suddenly all hell breaks loose. The London Bridge terror attack kicked off, and the 3 jihadis armed with large knives burst into the very place where our guy was drinking. Everybody ran for cover, but Millwall fan Roy Lana decided instead to stand and face and try and fight off these 3 armed terrorists just with his bare hands. And as a result, he saved a lot of people's lives. He also took a lot of injuries, a lot of cuts, and we're going to talk to him about that in a moment.
It earned him the nickname, the Lion of London Bridge. He was taken to hospital in a critical condition. There were wounds to his head, arms and chest. He has made a recovery, and we've borrowed him from hospital this morning. Roy, very good morning to you.
Roy, we spoke to you on the phone last week, and we couldn't really, it was a bit of a messy interview, we couldn't really hear. We wanted to get you in, and you very kindly agreed to come in. How are you?
I'm getting there, Piers, slowly.
What are the injuries that you sustained?
There's slices on my hands, you can see. There's a puncture in my side, but also my neck, head.
This is extraordinary.
A slice on my head.
This on your neck,
ear.
that just shows, really. that is...
Dear God!
I don't know how long.
How many stitches is that in his ear?
Yeah.
They put his ear back on.
They killed you, obviously.
I'm lucky to be here, yeah.
Take me back, Roy, to...
What kind of pain medicine is he on?
A few pints. It's a normal
Normal
Saturday night. When's the first you realised something is going very badly wrong?
When I was facing people, they see people running along the streets for some reason. So when I've looked around and there's 3 blokes there, someone's tried to block the doors, and everyone's run to the back of the restaurant.
While you're watching him, if he looks like he's not really with it, the injuries would blow anybody out for like a month.
Well, and he's probably on painkillers.
And so, like, I would have him back in a month when he's like not like his whole his ear was chopped off. Did you see the stitches on his little ear there and his back too? And like all those stitches, it wasn't like a cut. Those were stitches.
I didn't have time to run. One's in front of me and pulled out a knife, or whatever it was, and started shouting about Allah, Islam and kids. That time I just tried to fight back when the other 2 were going towards the restaurant. So as I maybe might be doing so well on one bloke, the other 2 have come back and helped him. And I had 3 of them around me.
So the other 2, as one was tackling you, the other 2 were diverted to try and get to where families and kids,
yeah, wherever they could,
and kill as many as they could. But because you were putting up a fight with the first one, they came back.
Come back, and 3 of them were attacking me.
And then you've got these 3 armed, crazed jihadis basically trying to kill you.
Yeah. How lucky I am to be here to talk to you. I don't know.
You say lucky. What's extraordinary about this, Roy? The reason we really wanted you to come in and to talk to you properly again, it's an act of extraordinary heroism. I just don't know anybody. I don't know anybody who faced in a situation would stand and face these 3 guys.
Maybe next time, maybe I might do something different. Maybe not. It's an instant reaction, and the adrenaline runs into you. The adrenaline runs in, which it's hard to explain to myself.
You must have been flooded with adrenaline, but you must as well have been terrified.
I felt more terrified when the shots were being fired, when I was hearing the shots around me.
Do you heard all that happen?
I heard all that. I think I was next to it, but I must have been down the side streets because I must have collapsed somewhere along the line.
Why didn't they try and kill you? How come you survived, do you think? Because they killed other people.
Yeah, with one stab when someone's died.
To be
probably
honest,
thought
looking
that
at
they
the stab wound
had,
on your
or
neck,
they're-
they
Yeah.
came pretty close, Roy.
Yeah.
Does that make you feel...
Lucky, and also
Yeah.
very lucky.
Did they run off, Roy, after they attacked you then?
That is thingy. I don't know if I tried to get out and they followed me and thought I was dead.
See, they thought
And
he
then
was dead.
within seconds the shooting is starting, I think.
Very quickly after
Yeah,
the thing with you.
the emergency services were brilliant, even from the police who took me to the hospital in a police car.
Your life wasn't great when this happened.
No.
I mean, apart from being a Millwall fan, which is bad enough, obviously. But you know,
So I kind of laughed with crack ribs.
I don't want to make you laugh. I've had crack ribs. It's very painful. Not for any
Yeah.
heroism, I can tell you. I fell off a Segway bike, but.
Don't we can compare your injuries.
But Roy, let me put this to you. You know, you haven't got a home at the moment.
No, that's the reason I was down that way. Someone put me up on the city, and that's the reason why I was just locally.
Just living with a mate,
Yeah.
right? You haven't got a job,
Nope.
right? And life's been giving you a few tough blows recently.
Yep.
You know, so far nearly £50,000 has been raised on a
Yes, I
fundraising
appreciate
site for you,
it. I just appreciate everyone that's donated to that.
and it will make a
Okay.
big difference to your life. Won't
Yeah,
it?
please. Yeah.
You'd like a job though.
I would like a job.
What would you like to
I
do?
did offer you.
You did. You'd be my head of security.
to work in
I would like to work as something like that sort of thing. I think I can handle myself now.
I think I can handle myself.
If this was a job interview, you've definitely proven you
Not
could work
security,
in
just
security.
yeah, I'd like to do something like that.
Oh my gosh, isn't
So
that
here
adorable?
he is, a homeless guy, no job, and he's like, I'm going to risk my life for other people. I mean, wow.
That's incredible. Wasn't that worth watching?
Yeah, yeah.
That's so great.
All right, the Islamist killer Usman Khan was out of jail on license. It's quite disturbing. He was not just some armed robber or a major drug dealer, criminals who might expect to be released after 5 or 6 or 7 years in jail. No, he was a traitor to this country, a man who was born in England, in London, and I don't know if London, but born in the UK, and yet who plotted to unleash violent jihadism on his fellow citizens. He's a first-generation UK citizen. Whom he referred to as kafars and dogs. Now, he was taught under Adram Chowdhury.
Whoa.
So, that guy's been released. Chowdhury's been released. It says, how is Chowdhury released? On like, what was it, $100,000 a month surveillance? How is he just not life in prison? For as many people that, this is war, like he's a war criminal because the people that he has sent into battle, he's a general, he sent these people into battle,
absolutely.
he should be executed, like publicly executed, like on television, Adram Chowdhury. And I say that because mass murderers in America get executed.
Yeah.
Dogs Khan was part of a gang of men from Stoke-on-Trent, London, and Cardiff who made plans to bomb the London Stock Exchange and pubs in Stoke. They also discussed killing the then mayor of London, Boris Johnson. During the trial, the judge described Khan, who was 19, as one of the more serious jihadis in the gang. He genuinely believed in pursuing holy war against disgusting dog-like Britons.
Wow.
It was decided that he should never be released until it was clearly agreed that he no longer posed a threat to the public. But following an appeal, his condition was later lifted.
So whoever is doing these analyzations of whether somebody poses a threat to the country, maybe they should be fired.
Julia Hartley Brewer here
I'm not sure I could sleep at night after that, actually.
says, oh goody, the London Bridge terrorist is just one of many convicted terrorists who will be walking our streets. That's reassuring, isn't it? Let's keep our fingers crossed they all end up stabbing and blowing up each other, not the rest of us for blank
not likely.
blank. The liberal left still makes the rules here in the UK. To understand whence this stupidity emanates, you only have to look at how the left responded to the attack. Useless London Mayor Sadiq Khan, the one who once famously said that terrorist attacks are just part and parcel of living in the big city. Remember, Sadiq Khan was a famous lawyer who defended Muslims, who defended terrorists. Not just Muslims, but I should say terrorists. Terrorist Muslim, Islamist terrorists. That's what I
You
meant
know
to say.
how, let me translate what Khan has said, though. Listen, we've come. You're going to have to get used to it. It's
Yeah.
just part and parcel because we're here and this is what we do.
Yeah, exactly. Opportunists, they seized on the chance to blame it on Tory police cuts. Various Corbynista loons sought to claim that it was a false flag operation, probably staged by the Conservative Party's dark arts department to help Boris Johnson steal the general election. Some complained about the police alleged shoot-to-kill policy. Others, like the Times commentator David Aronvich, took the opportunity to direct their ire at the real victims of yesterday's stabbing frenzy. Yep. All those right-wing types who think Britain needs its own Second Amendment. How is it possible to be this stupid and still put socks on? Take away the London Bridge incident. If law-abiding Londoners could carry firearms legally, it probably wouldn't have happened. Amazing how the bold terrorists are when they know their victims are unarmed. And our politicians, including Boris Johnson's squishy conservatives, fear the criticism of the liberal left minority, especially the liberal left media, more than they do either of the threat of terrorism or the wrath of the great British public.
All right, so we have Manson didn't kill anyone, and he was put in jail for life. Well said. Stuart the Brit says
He
that
let
is
people here. Charles Manson got people to kill people. Chowdhury has created a holy war, and he's out living high life.
It's called a conspiracy to commit murder. All right, Stuart the Brit says that is a typical Englishman. Find them everywhere here, unlike the media view of the English public. I like that. The hero there. Britt Baza says, Michelle, the law of serving half of a prison sentence was handed down by the Labour government of the Tony Blair years. Let's see. Adeline says, arm the people. Dale Jones says the same thing. This would have ended sooner if UK citizens could carry concealed weapons. Stuart the Brit says, Adeline, we are armed more than you know. Well, but okay, but in a situation like this, you could go to jail. Like, let's say you see a terrorist with a knife and you come out and you shoot them. You may be armed, but like nobody's going to use their weapon because they will be put in jail for using it to protect people.
Right.
So.
Okay, so we are going to move on to a couple other stories here. This one is Razi Adam convicted for driving into man celebrating christening, killing one. He drove into Razi Adam, who drove into a group of friends in East London and killed a Romanian man celebrating a christening, has been convicted of manslaughter. 25-year-old had been driving to meet co-accused Jack Bush, against whom the jury failed to reach a verdict. On May 5th, arriving to find him drunk and apparently fighting with a group of men. At this point, Adam decided to use his car as a weapon and drove forward, swerving towards it into the group. Adam then made a 3-point turn in the car facing back towards the group. For a second time, he just drove into Raziz Adam. And I wanted to point that out, that this was another, there's lots of weapons that can be had.
That fire extinguisher, man.
Oh, yeah.
Jules and Thought says, one guy had a fire extinguisher as a weapon. Citizens need to be able to protect themselves. In my opinion, love to the UK. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's quick thinking, though. I'm really happy,
Yeah.
All right. Former speaker admits he facilitated stopping clean Brexit. It's not really huge.
I don't have my Burkow thing. I was looking for it. Like, we've got that little face mask. The order!
John Burkow admitted that he had a, quote, handmaiden role in helping to stop a clean break Brexit. He goes on to say, I facilitated colleagues who wanted legally to stop the no-deal Brexit. I think I had a handmaiden role, if I can put it that way, but did I do the deed? I didn't do the deed. I facilitated those who wanted to do the deed.
So now he's not the speaker, he's admitting it?
He's supposed to be completely neutral, and if he's facilitating one way, he should be facilitating the other way. And he was asked, is it possible there could be another referendum? He says, yes, it is possible. It may not look that likely at the moment. If you ask me what I think about it, I think that there is a compelling case for the public to be asked to be given their final verdict. I don't see how having more democracy can be undemocratic.
Okay, so question. Because I honestly don't know the answer to this. Is the Speaker of the House an elected official that then gets put into that position? Meaning, is he still an elected official right now?
I don't believe so. I don't know. I think he's resigned.
Okay, he just resigned as like, I'm done, walking away.
Done. Yeah.
Because the reason why I ask is like Theresa May. She's still in Parliament. She's still a member of Parliament.
Yeah, don't hear much from her.
No, you don't. That's a good thing. She's kind of embarrassed.
Yeah, exactly. Speaking of Trump, are we speaking of Trump? So Trump is coming to London for a NATO summit.
Wow. And
Farage says that Trump will be neutral, and both Boris and Farage are playing down Trump endorsing anything because they said we saw what Obama did with the promoting that kind of like tipped the scales to get Brexit passed, because when they saw Obama saying, hey, you'll be put in the back of the queue, which David Cameron actually asked him to say, reportedly.
Surprise.
Yeah. Have volume.
The speaker is an elected MP. Now, is Bercow still an MP right now? That's the
I
question.
don't have the volume of the volumes. This might have gone off.
I love his flat cap here.
We'll just start. Let's see if we can get some volume here. Nigel Farage says he will obviously appear neutral. Boris Farage played down endorsements ahead of Trump's visit. Prime Minister Boris Johnson and Brexit Party leader Nigel Farage have both played down the possibility of election-related remarks.
See the president, I'm on the campaign.
And it's going to play. Nigel, with your flat cap, please play for us.
So Stefan says no. I'm assuming that's the answer to my question about Bercow.
He's not in government anymore.
But he is an elected MP, but he's just like you said, he resigned altogether. Like, I'm done. He's going to retire to his...
President Trump is going to be flying into London next week for the NATO summit. Any plans to see the president?
No plans to see the president. I'm on the campaign trail, and he will obviously do his utmost to appear to be neutral during all of this. But it does raise some big questions, because he's coming for a NATO summit, and we have just seen a Conservative manifesto which in terms of defence is promising almost nothing other than more cutbacks, even pretty questionable whether the UK is going to stick to the 2% needed to continue to be a valid part of NATO. We've got the whole rapid development of the European Defence Union and intelligence sharing. So you've got the Five Eyes intelligence sharing community, you've got NATO, and a European Union that I believe will be happy to see NATO destroyed. And I think in the middle of all of this next week, Boris Johnson may need to stand up and start saying where we stand on this, and with his Brexit, are we leaving the European Defence Union or not? So I think this time next week, these are going to be huge issues, and the symbolism of Trump coming in, and the fact that, look, we all know that NATO is basically the Americans, with us, and we're a very, very junior bit part player. And the whole security of Europe is there, promised to be supported by the Americans if the Europeans pay their way, and they're refusing to. So this is actually, in terms of sort of geopolitics, quite a good moment.
When are those who criticise Trump over his NATO comments going to eat their words?
This has been willful. I've seen it from Juncker, I've seen it from Verhofstadt, I've seen it from Macron. The narrative is, now that Trump's the American president, we can't rely upon the Americans, therefore we have to do it ourselves. It is a load of baloney. And it's just not true. And Trump actually is perfectly clear. You will pay your way, and the club works. You don't pay your way, we've got to start asking ourselves some questions.
Many Americans looked to the UK in 2016, the Brexit vote. That gave them hope, and that gave them President Trump. We're in a general election campaign now, and 2020 is just around the corner. If an American voter was looking at the UK next month, what lessons should he be taking away?
Well, I think what you're going to see, and I know there's nearly 3 weeks to go, but there's no doubt that Corbyn's brand of really quite hard left socialism, almost verging on Marxism, is not going down well with the electorate. That's one sort of quite big takeout, because you've got voices now in American politics a long way to the left of anything America's ever seen before. So if I was a Republican, I'd say go for Bernie, or go for somebody way out there on the left, because they'll be the right opponent to have. And I think in terms of Brexit, we're much closer than we've been at any point in the last 3.5 years. I mean, we are going to get Brexit. The question now is, what type of Brexit are we going to get? So I think in terms of the re-election campaign of Trump, I think some of the frustrations with the UK will be less this time next year.
Remember, it's not just a conspiracy theory if it's actually the truth. We love you.
God loves
God
you.
loves you. God bless. Good night, guys.
I was cold.